Hello friends and welcome to Pendulum Medium. Today we'll be discussing daily current affairs of 9 July 2020. So friends, quickly join this session and also ask other people to join this session so that everyone can take benefit from this. And those who have not subscribed to our channel Pendulum Medium, please subscribe it and do not forget to press the bell icon to receive notification. Let's start this session. The first news is the fourth edition of a virtual ministerial on climate action. It has recently concluded, and from Indian side it was chaired by Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar. He said that developed countries should implement financial and technical commitments which were made under UNFCCC and the Paris Agreement. So what is this UNFCCC? It is the agreement. It is an environmental treaty. It is an environmental treaty, and this treaty was adopted in 1992 during the Earth Summit, which was held in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and it came into effect in 1994. And there were some technical commitments and financial commitments that were made under this agreement. So India asked the developed countries to implement the commitments which are made under this agreement. And also talking about Paris Agreement, it was held in 2015, and this Paris Agreement, it also aims to tackle the climate change. And since we all know that climate change is impacting many countries, especially the developing and least developed countries, and the aim under Paris Agreement is to limit the increase in global temperature, increase in average global temperature to 1.5 degree centigrade, 1.5 to 2 degree centigrade. This is the major aim under the Paris Agreement. The Environment Minister also said the promise of $1 trillion, which is not fulfilled by 2020, but it will be fulfilled in the remaining 5 months. And India will also further strengthen the climate works which is going in developing countries. And also, if we talk about this, the India has also taken several steps to promote clean energy, as India has set various goals under this Paris Agreement, in which India has committed that it will reduce its carbon emission, and also it committed that it will increase the use of renewable energy, especially solar power. And for that, India proposed a setting up of International Solar Alliance in during this Paris Agreement, this Paris Summit. This International Solar Alliance, the countries which lie partially or fully under between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, they are part of this International Solar Alliance. And this ISA, it has its headquarters in Gurugram, India. It has its headquarters, and many countries have joined ISA, International Solar Alliance. And moving to next part, India has also implemented Bharat Stage 6 emission norms by April 1 this year, which was to be adopted by 2024. So basically, we talk about BS norms, Bharat Stage norms. So these are equivalent of European norms or Euro norms, which are related to standards for vehicles, or you can say for fuel that is to be used for the vehicles, for running the vehicles. And the norms which are BS norms, they higher the norm, that is BS1, it is BS2, BS3, these are a low grade fuel, while BS6, it is a high grade fuel which is less polluting. And if we compare BS4 and BS6 fuel, we can understand why India switched to BS6 fuel. In India, BS4 fuels, these were supposed to be, implemented in 2017, and BS6 was supposed to be implemented in 2024. But India decided to switch directly from 4 to 6 stage by skipping BS5 stage, because there is not much change required from switching from BS4 to BS6. not much modification is required. Therefore, government took this step. And in BS4, if we talk about level of particulate matter 2.5, then it is under BS4 it is 120 microgram per centimeter cube, while in BS6 the PM 2.5 level is 20 to 40 microgram per centimeter cube. So you can see that the PM level is very low, and also the level of sulfur in BS4 it is 50 ppm, while in BS6 the level of sulfur is only 10 ppm. So basically switching from BS4 to BS6, it will reduce the emission of particulate matter by 80% and the emission of nitrogen oxides. This is very important, that the emission of nitrogen oxides it get reduced by 17% around. So this is a very clean fuel, and therefore India has adopted BS6, which has been implemented from April 1, 2020. And on 27th March, the Supreme Court allowed the automobile companies to sell their 10% of BS4 standard vehicles. So as lockdown occurred on 23rd March, so therefore Supreme Court, taking the cognizance of the event, it allowed the automobile sector to sell 10% of BS4 vehicles within the 10 days after lockdown. But it has been observed that these automobile sectors, they have already sold many vehicles, BS4 grade vehicles, during lockdown only, and that too more than 10% of the allowed 10% of what was allowed. So Supreme Court has raised concern that it is the violation of the order of Supreme Court. So let's see what action will be taken against these automobile sector. Now moving to the question part, in which year was the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change adopted? 1996, 1992, 2001 and 2005. Quickly comment the correct answer. The correct answer will be option B, that is 1992. Moving to the next news, guidelines for evaluation of nano-based agri-input and food products in India. These have been released by Union Science and Technology Minister and Agriculture Minister through video link, and these guidelines, these will help policy makers and regulators to create provisions for future nano-based products for the agriculture input. So in future, whatever novel nano-based products will be produced, so as to determine their quality, safety, efficiency, and determine their standards, these policy will be framed using these guidelines which have been recently issued. And this step, it will also help in doubling farmers' income by 2022, which is the aim of the government and National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture. As these nano-based agri-input, these will help in increasing productivity, and these will also help in getting fair price to the farmers for their produce, whatever they are producing. So these agri-input, they will be a sort of nano-based agri-input, there will be sort of revolution in the terms of agriculture industry. Moving to the question part, the government of India has set a target to double the income of farmers by which year? 2020, 2022, 2024 and 2026. Quickly comment the correct answer. The correct answer is option B, that is 2022. World Bank will provide 400 million for Ganga revival. Recently, the government said that World Bank will be providing 400 million for the revival of Ganga, and out of these $400 million, 38 crore 10 lakh dollar will be a loan, and 10 crore 90 lakh dollars will be the proposed guarantee. The agreement has been signed by Sameer Kaur Khare, Under Secretary, Department of Economic Affairs, and Kesar Khan, Acting Director of the Indian Bank of the World Bank. And the second National Ganga River Basin project, it will help reduce pollution in the river and it will strengthen the management of the river basin area. As we all know that about 500 million people, they live in the Ganges River Basin, and this project, it will help in better utilization of this river and removing the pollution, and also it will attract more tourism to the state. And this Ganga, it originates from Gangotri Glacier in Uttarakhand and it flows through the states of Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and West Bengal. So these are the regions through which Ganga flows. And talking about World Bank. So World Bank, this was established in 1944. Currently it has 189 members. Also, its headquarters are located in Washington, DC, that is in USA. And the current head of World Bank, or you can say president of World Bank, is David Malpass. Okay. So these are some important things regarding the World Bank. Ganga does not flow through which of these states? Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Jharkhand. What will be the correct answer for this? Ganga does not flow through which of these states? Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Jharkhand. The correct answer will be option B, that is Jharkhand. Moving to the next news. Group on Infrastructure meeting, it was recently held in New Delhi, and Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari chaired this Group on Infrastructure meeting, and also this meeting was attended by Railway Minister Piyush Goyal, Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar and Minister of State for Road Transport and Highways General V.K. Singh. In this meeting, it was discussed that various infrastructure projects that are still pending. So what are the issues regarding those projects, infrastructure projects, they were discussed. And also it was discussed that the forest clearances which is still pending for 187 highway projects. So what are the issues regarding that? So for these 187 highway projects, it was also discussed. And also the minister mentioned the need to remove the level crossings on national highways as they act as major accident sites. So quickly comment, tell me that under which project or scheme of the government aims to remove the level crossings on national highways. Quickly comment the correct answer. The correct answer is Setu Bharatam scheme. So Setu Bharatam scheme, this is a scheme of Government of India which is implemented by Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, and it aims to remove the level crossings on all national highways by the end of 2020. So this is the aim of the government under the Setu Bharatam project. Now let's see the next news. Foundation stone was laid for the administrative building of Krishi Vigyan Kendra at Badaun, Uttar Pradesh, and it was inaugurated by Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar through video conferencing. There are total 86 Krishi Vigyan Kendras in Uttar Pradesh and 20 more need to be set up, out of which 17 have started functioning and remaining 3 which are still to be built. They are in Prayagraj, Rai Bareli and Azamgarh. And apart from this, Krishi Vigyan Kendra, it will also be created in Moradabad. The Agriculture Minister also said that there are total of 720 Krishi Vigyan Kendra in India, and through these Krishi Vigyan Kendras, about 15 lakh farmers and youths, they are trained every year. Talking about Krishi Vigyan Kendra, these are agriculture extension centers in India, and they act as a link between ICAR and farmers, that is Indian Council of Agriculture Research, which carries out research in agriculture, and that is transferred to the farmers so that they can implement that in their on their fields and get a good productivity or a good the solution to many problems. And Krishi Vigyan Kendra, the first Krishi Vigyan Kendra, it was established in Pondicherry in 1974. So a question can be asked that where is first Krishi Vigyan Kendra established in India? So it was established in 1974 in Pondicherry. So let's see a question related to the news. Recently, Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar has laid the foundation stone of the administrative building of Krishi Vigyan Kendra in which district of Uttar Pradesh? Badaun, Kanpur, Meerut and Bareilly. Quickly comment the correct answer. Badaun, Kanpur, Meerut and Bareilly. The correct answer is option A, that is Badaun. Next news is meeting on health sector between 15th Finance Commission and World Bank and its high level group, and in this meeting Niti Aayog participated, and also the high level group of 15th Finance Commission, it also participated in this meeting. And in this meeting it was decided that there is a need to develop and roll out a real-time monitoring and reporting system for human and animal health monitoring to deal with future outbreak of zoonotic diseases. So since there have been major cases of outbreak of zoonotic diseases, and in future there are chances that the countries, they have to deal with zoonotic diseases. Zoonotic diseases are those diseases which are transmitted from animals to humans. So or they can be transmitted through direct contact or through indirect contact, and these can be transmitted through bacteria, parasite or virus. And therefore there is a need to develop a real-time monitoring and reporting system so that in case any future outbreak occurs, so it can be dealt easily. And also the Finance Commission said that for the first time it will dedicate an entire chapter on health financing in its recommendation report. So this is the first time that the Commission is dedicating an entire chapter on health financing. So this is an important fact for you. This question can be framed from this. Talking about Finance Commission, it is a constitutional body and it finds its mention under Article 280 of the Indian Constitution, and President of India constitutes the Finance Commission every 5 years. And this Finance Commission sets formula for distributing tax income between center and states, and also it decides the criteria for granting aids to the states. And this Finance Commission, it is established at central level, and at the state level we have State Finance Commission, which decides the distribution of taxes between the state and local bodies, which are urban local bodies like municipalities and panchayats. And the State Finance Commission, it is also a constitutional body. It was formed under the 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, State Finance Commission. And this 15th Finance Commission, it was formed in November 2017 and its chairman is N.K. Singh. And the recommendations of this 15th Finance Commission will be applicable from April 2020 to March 2025. So let's see a question related to the news. In what period will the recommendations of the 15th Finance Commission come into force? April 2021 to March 2026, 2022 to 2027, 2020 to 2025 and 2020 to 2023. Quickly comment the correct answer. Keep commenting the correct answer. The correct answer will be option C, that is April 2020 to March 2025. Moving to the next news. The United States is considering a ban on another Chinese social media apps including TikTok, and as we all know, India has already banned these Chinese social media apps. A total of 59 apps have been banned, which include TikTok, UC browser, Hello, etc. And US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, he commented on the handling of coronavirus outbreak as US has alleged China for being responsible for the outbreak of coronavirus, and also China's action in Hong Kong recently, the bill which was passed in Chinese parliament regarding the administration of Hong Kong regarding the security reasons. So there was the allegations were there on China that this was not correct, and since Hong Kong is an autonomous region, so the security system should be handled by Hong Kong only. And the growing US-China tension, so with the nearly 2-year trade war which is going on between US and China, so that has escalated tension between the two countries. So these were some issues that have been in news for a long time, and these were commented upon by the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. And recently US lawmakers, they have raised national security concerns over handling of TikTok user data. So the data security and data privacy, these are the two major concerns which have been raised by US lawmakers. And the app which is not available in China, it has decided to distance itself from its Chinese roots in the wake of recent bans, and to gather the trust of the people which are using these apps. Moving to the next news. But before, let's see a question. After India, which other country is considering banning Chinese app? Canada, USA, Italy and Spain. What will be the correct answer? Quickly comment. The correct answer will be option B, that is USA. Moving to the next news. Talks between Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla and Under Secretary of State for Political Affairs David Hele was recently held online, and these two secretaries, these reviewed various issues which includes political, economic, commercial, regional and international cooperation under India-US Comprehensive Global Strategic Partnership. The two sides, they discussed that the public-to-public contact should be further strengthened, the business relations and also granting of visas to students and professional, it was also discussed. As we all know that recently H1B visas, which are mainly issued to the professionals, it has been banned for a year, and this is a step taken by America to promote American First policy, although this was widely criticized. At the same time, he reiterated his commitment to ensure the prosperity, peace, coolness and independence of the Indo-Pacific region. So the both countries, they agreed that the Indo-Pacific region, it should be independent, there should be prosperity and peace in the region, and the countries like China, which are showing their aggression by claiming the regions which are not its own. So such type of issues, they were discussed during the meeting, and India and US also agreed to pursue their bilateral issues and stay in touch through a 2+2 ministerial meeting. So this 2+2 ministerial meeting, this includes the Foreign and Defense Ministry. Basically, Defense Minister and Foreign Minister of each country, they participate in this 2+2 ministerial meeting, and this first 2+2 meet between India and USA, it was held in 2018. And this for the year 2020, this 2+2 ministerial meeting, it will be organized by India. And also India has organized such 2+2 meeting with Japan in 2019. So if a question is asked that with which two countries India has organized this 2+2 ministerial meeting, so it will be Japan and USA. Let's move to the next news. The United States informed the United Nations about decision to sever ties with the World Health Organization. Recently, the United States, it has informed the United Nations about the decision that it will be severing all its ties with the World Health Organization. It will withdraw from it. In April, US stopped funding WHO as it accused WHO of favoring China over the COVID-19 outbreak. And we all know that COVID-19, it originated in the Chinese city of Wuhan in late 2019, and it has resulted many deaths globally. 500,000 people have died globally due to this pandemic, and 1,30,000 alone they died in US due to this. So this decision has been taken in the wake of all these things, and in May, President Donald Trump, he announced that US will be ending relationship with the WHO, and now it has formally informed United Nations that it is going to cut off from this World Health Organization. And talking about World Health Organization, WHO, it is a UN specialized agency which is related to health. It develops standards related to health worldwide, and also it was established on 7th April 1948. Therefore, on 7th April, World Health Day is organized. It is observed every year, World Health Day. And this WHO, the current Director General of WHO is Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus. He is the current Director General of WHO. Now moving to the question part. Recently, which country has informed the United Nations about the decisions to sever ties with the World Health Organization? Britain, France, Germany and USA. So what will be the correct answer for this? Britain, France, Germany and USA. The correct answer is option D, that is USA. Moving to the next news. United Kingdom imposed sanctions against Myanmar's Army Chief General Min Aung Hlaing and his deputy So Win. And this decision has been taken because of its alleged involvement in human rights violations against Rohingyas and other ethnic communities. So Rohingyas were in news recently because United Nations Human Rights Council, it has passed a resolution that the safe return of Myanmar should be ensured, safe return of Rohingya should be ensured to Myanmar. Therefore, this resolution was passed by UNHRC, and Rohingyas, these are the Muslim minorities in Myanmar, and these have been facing very issues. Their human rights have been violated, and therefore these Rohingyas, they have become refugees as they have fled from Myanmar to different regions like India, Bangladesh, and Bangladesh was commended for its step to provide shelter to some of the Rohingyas which entered its region after they fled from Myanmar, and also other ethnic communities. So the human rights violations against these Rohingyas and other ethnic communities, these were due to these human rights violation, the United Kingdom has imposed sanctions against this Army Chief of Myanmar and his deputy. And these sanctions, this will seize all the assets of the two top generals, and also they will not be able to obtain a visa for another country. Also, Britain Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab, he said that Britain's first autonomous human rights sanctions regime, this is the first British autonomous human rights sanctions regime, and this regime allows the government to ban people who are involved in human rights abuses worldwide. So this this regime has been set up by Britain, and it allows the government to ban, or you can say to impose sanctions on people which are involved in human rights violations worldwide. And also UK extended its support to the Aung San Suu Kyi led civilian government. Talking about Myanmar, it was formerly known as Burma. It is a Southeast Asian nation, and you can see the location of Myanmar. Its capital is Naypyidaw and its currency is Burmese Kyat. It shares its border with Bangladesh, India, China, Laos and Thailand. Moving to the question part. Recently, United Kingdom has imposed sanctions against General Min Aung Hlaing and his deputy. He is the army chief of which country? Vietnam, China, Myanmar and Laos. Quickly comment the correct answer. Keep commenting the correct answer. Hit the like button. The correct answer will be option C, that is Myanmar. Moving to the next news. US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo announced visa restrictions for a certain group of Chinese officials, and this announcement was made under the Reciprocal Access to Tibet Act. So this reciprocal access to Tibet Act, under this act, if the US diplomats or other officials, journalists or tourists, whatever these are, so if their travel is obstructed by the Chinese government to the Tibetan autonomous region, then in return this act empowers US government to impose sanctions or impose restrictions on the Chinese officials which are entering USA. So similarly, in the past, China has continued to obstruct travel by the US diplomats, other officials, journalists and tourists to the Tibetan autonomous region and other Tibetan region, while Chinese officials and other citizens, they enjoy greater access to United States. Therefore, these restrictions have been imposed on the officials of Chinese government and the Chinese Communist Party who were involved in formulation or execution of policies related to access to Tibetan areas. So this is the reciprocal access. Reciprocal means that is in return of something. So this access to, if China will not allow access to its Tibetan region, autonomous Tibetan region, then in reciprocal, US has also now announced visa restrictions for certain Chinese officials to the US. Now let's see a question related to the news. US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has announced visa restrictions under the Reciprocal Access to Tibet Act for a certain group of officials from which country? China, India, Japan and Russia. Quickly comment the correct answer. The correct answer will be option A, that is China. Moving to the next news. MyLab Discovery Solution launches Compact Excel machine. Recently, MyLab Discovery Solutions, which is a Pune-based molecular diagnostics company, it has launched Compact Excel machine, and it is the first machine in India which will automate all the manual processes of molecular diagnostic tests such as RT-PCR testing for COVID-19. The Compact Excel is a compact bench top machine through which all laboratory processes from sample handling to preparing RT-PCR ready tubes, this will be automated, and it is a cartridge based machine which can test multiple samples at the same time. Also, this machine can take input of various sample types such as plasma, tissue, sputum and swab, and also this can be used for a wide range of RNA, DNA tests including COVID-19 RT-PCR test. And the important thing is that this machine is 100% indigenous, that is, it is made in India, and patents have been applied for this machine. So it will be a great achievement of India, and this will promote Atmanirbhar Bharat under this health sector. This would also eliminate traditional barriers to the adoption of molecular diagnostics in laboratories. Now let's see a question related to the news. Recently, MyLab Discovery Solutions, a molecular diagnostic company, has launched a compact Excel machine. Where is this company located? Quickly comment the correct answer. Pune, Patna, Delhi and Chennai. So where this MyLab Discovery Solutions company is located? The correct answer will be option A, that is Pune. So friends, here we have covered daily current affairs and related questions. I hope you like this session, and please like it, share it as much as you can, and if you have any doubt related to the news or how to prepare daily current affairs, you can mention that in comment box. And also monthly current affairs PDF for the month of June for in Hindi as well as in English, it is available in the description below, so you can download from the link. And also keep preparing well, keep following daily current affairs. Thank you so much.